This is Matt from Go Power Sports again. We're got a new product we're gonna start selling. It's a DIY Go Kart Frame kit. You can assemble it yourself. You can make changes, kind of do it how you want to do it. We're gonna show you how to assemble one. One of the ways how to assemble one. We're gonna walk you through each step of the whole fabrication. And so here we go. Let's get started. So to get started, you want to get your two long pieces. You'll have a 45 on one end. You'll have a 45 on one end, and your back piece will have 45s on each end. And thankful we have this jig table. It kind of helps us out. We can put our pins and stuff. It's from tab and slot. But if you don't have a table like this, you can always use frame and square. It's easy, it works. It's been around for a while, so hey. So we're gonna tack it together, get everything squared up, and I'm gonna walk you through everything. So here we go. This is how you use the frame and square if you don't know. Pretty easy, just make sure it's straight, and that's kind of put a tack here. Moving on to the front, you're going to also need a tape measure. Outside to outside dimensions should be 21 inches. And then you want to center your front frame up. Kind of want to make sure we're square, so we just want to run it that way. Beautiful. So moving on, we got our main structure tacked up. This goes down the center, and then you got your back piece here that it ties into. So what we'll do, we'll center this up first. That should be 16 inside from back to there. Now we're going to make sure everything's checked out. We'll make sure we're 9 inches. The next piece we're going to put in is the brace that supports the motor mount, and it should be 5 3/4 inside dimension. This is the bumper. What we need to do is we need to step in 1.5 inches in the end, drill a 3/8 hole in this piece, and a 3/8 hole in this piece, 1.5 inches back. So this will be where our gas and brake pedal hook up to. We got our holes drilled, and to just center, you want to just kind of line the tube the round tube up with the square tube. Okay. And with our leprechaun flute, now with this piece here, it goes, just want to center it up. Want to make sure your holes are flat because that's where your pedal's going to go. Here. Just make sure straight here. Beautiful. We're going to put part of the steering support in. We're going to put it at 10.5 inches. It's perfect for our size, but if you're smaller, if for a kid or something, you might want to slide it back where the steering will be a little bit lower. These two pieces here are seat supports. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to come 7.5 inches from the front of this tube here to the edge of this, and then tack it there. So 7.5. What you want to do, you want to kind of do it flush. Do is just kind of make sure you're not all bowed up. If you have to, you can tap it down just a touch. Onto the steering hoop. This is our hoop. This one here is about 15 inches, but we make them longer so you can adjust your height. Depends on the size of the person. We're going to cut it down to about 1 foot from the top here, because that's just kind of where we like it. And then what we'll do, we'll kind of give it a little bit of an angle like that, so that'll raise everything up and kind of give us our steering that's more comfortable for us. Tack our steering hoop up here. So we want about 1.5 inches to the edge of our frame. There, it'll be centered up. Kind of got a little bit of angle to it. That's kind of the way we prefer it. So we're gonna go about, I don't know, it's probably like, I say it's about maybe 5 degrees off of a 90. So if this was straight up, then we'll just say 5 degrees or so. But it's these carts, it's really up to you. You know what I mean? It can be done any kind of way. That kind of gives you an option to make it your own and enjoy building it. So, all right, this piece of 3/4 11 gauge tubing. This is their steering shaft. And what you'll want to do is, it comes long. It's like around 28 inches or so. But we're going to cut ours down to 24 inches. But you can make it your own. You know, cut it to whatever length you think is best for you. Here we go. piece here is to bolt your steering wheel with. This piece goes on one end of your steering shaft. This is what hooks into your tie rods. You have a couple of short pieces of tube, and you have two of these. So basically what you want to do first is you want to take this piece. What I like to do, there'll be a seam on the tube, so best just put that seam kind of in line with your hole. Just kind of gives you a reference point. So that's pretty good right there. I'm going to tack it on. Okay, so then I'm going to go one of these, and then another one of these, and one more of these, and then I'm going to put this on. Just depends on what steering wheel you have. Depends on kind of what location. You can get it close by, going by your seam on your tube to your hole here. Just kind of line it up. Just depends on what steering wheel you got. It may be right, it may not be exact, but you can always do it once you get it all together and put your steering wheel up there and kind of line it up, because you want this to be straight up and down, and of course you want your steering wheel to be square. So what I'm going to do here is just tap this down in the hole. Put a couple tacks. Okay, so we got our steering all tacked up. What we want to do is we want to center this tab up. Just tack it on. Just a couple tacks on the side. That'll give you the capability of moving it around if you need to bend it or knock it around. And this one you want to center it up. This one, you probably want about an inch gap there. Back this. And what that does, that just keeps your steering shaft from falling down. And this one here just keeps your, just keeps everything sturdy. So now, you have this little piece right here. This is you can call it your dashboard or whatever. This is where your on-off switch will be mounted. You put your ground in the bottom hole. You have your toggle switch here. You can mount it anywhere, but I just kind of like it right here. No real specific spot, but right here looks good to me. Moving on. This piece here is your footboard or your toe guard for the passenger. We're going to cut it right here. If you have the capability of bending it, you can bend it, but what we're going to do is we're going to cut it, and we're going to weld one side here and one side here. That just keeps your passenger's feet from falling out or something like that. So we're going to cut it in half. You want to cut it pretty much in between, about right there. Looks good to me. Take this piece, tack it right here. Beautiful. These little pieces like this, they're the pedal stops. What I like to do is I like to center the hole up in between each. So you want your hole dead center in between each one of these. So you kind of want to set it back a little bit because your bolt, you don't want your bolt to hit that holds in your cable and your spring and stuff. So just set it back a little bit. Eyeball center there. That one. Here's this one. We have these little tabs here. These are for your cable, for your throttle and your brake cable. You probably, once you get your cables, you want to put a slit right in this hole to allow your cable to slip through. But what I do is I come back off this 2 inches and weld it to the side like that. It'll be welded to the side like that. So what we'll do, we'll measure 2 inches. Back 2 inches to a mark. Put this like this. Two inches. Moving on to the front, continuing on with the front, we got our C-cups here. That's what holds our spindles in. This is a 3-inch C-cup. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure 1 inch down to the top. Put us a mark here on both of them. Take this, so we got our mark there. We're gonna hold our big square with our tube there, center it up. Put a tack there, and tack on this side. Moving on to our axle, got a piece of 1-inch tube here. It's about 25 inches or so. You got 2 bolts. You got a 6-inch bolt, it's a 5/8, and then you got a 4-inch 5/8 bolt. We're gonna put one on each end. And the best way to do this is have your axle sitting flat. Just gotta stand it up. Get it close, tack it. What you're going to need to do is you want to take a straight edge, and the straight edge here runs out, and you want to keep that same gap all the way to the end, from here to here. So that's how you know it's straight or not. That's pretty close. You can move just a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. And you want to do that on the top side and on one side here. See, that's a little bit off. Probably go down just a touch. That's pretty close. Our gap here, down here is pretty much the same. So when we get it like that, we want to tack it. Do the same on the other end. That's pretty doggone close. And this side, I could go up just a little bit. We'll just bump it a little touch. Pretty close. Now what we'll do, we'll tag it again. This is a pretty critical part because you need a good weld on this. Because if you don't, bolt may break off, and then your tire's gonna fall off. So you need some good weld there. And you ask why we have two different size bolts. This is for our drive side. This is where the chain or the sprocket goes with our brake band. So that's why it just gives you more room for your tire and everything. So now we're gonna put that on here. Take a couple extra pieces of tube, this is for the seat, just kind of raise everything up, where it'll all be sitting flush. So when I go to weld my axle in, it'll be right. So we want to weld our axle 8 inches inside. You have a tube sticking out here, you want it to be 1.5 inches worth of tube sticking out. So that's that. So 1.5 inches on your drive side of your tube, and then 8 inches here. That there. Make sure you're still at 8 inches. Okay. Moving on, this little piece here, it's a 3/8 rod. This is going to be for your brake band. One end of your brake band will slide into. You want to come from 1.5 inches from there to the center of your piece of rod there and tack it on. Make sure it's good and squared up. This is your motor mount. What we typically use is the Predator 212 engine. For the Predator 212 engine, you want to line this up flush to this edge. You want to go 4 inches from here to the inside, and that's a good spot for the 212 engine. But now if you go with a different engine, you're going to have to bolt your plate up there, center it up, and you're going to have to find a good spot so where your chain will line up with your sprocket, your floater wheel, and everything will line up. So you may have to bolt it all together, get your chain, make sure, and tack it in a good location where your chain will tighten up. For our seat kit, the seat that goes on here, you got several different parts. We also have adjustable seat brackets that you can purchase for this kit. What you want to do is you want to make sure you got everything laid out here. There's a left and a right side. So basically what we want to do, we're going to put the right side together, and it will be it won't be on the 90, it'll kind of be on a little bit different angle. It won't be straight up kind of for your seat back. So what we're going to do, we're going to tack this one up. And then what we're going to do with the other side is, where we know we got our angles the same, we're going to lay the left side and the right side on top of each other where they'll both be the same for real. So when we go to weld our other pieces, they'll all be this part. You want to use your frame square. This side square also. What you want to do next? You have 4 of these with 2 holes in it, and you want to grab some 4 1/4-inch bolts, and we're just gonna bolt these on here. Bolt these. This. So, get your frame, kind of make sure everything's going to line up where you want to take this tab and tack it to the right at the end of the tube here. And this one here will just be in that location. And I'll just make sure this one's square to the end. Like right at 8 inches from center of hole to center of hole. Just depends on your slider that you get. You just want to make sure that these holes line up with your slider for your seat adjustment. And then also on the back, same way. Depends on what seat you get. You probably want to like kind of bolt this to your seat. Find your best location and tack this on, because it's hard to say without having your seat. You know, depends on what seat you use. So So then you can just bolt your seat and kind of figure out what height and stuff you want it, and then you can tack it on. We have these side pieces. One end is shorter than the other, kind of gives it that taper look. It's kind of really up to you where you tack them. You can tack them here, you can tack them, you know. We're gonna go probably around about there, which is 2.5 inches from the back of the tube to the front of this. From here to here is 2.5 inches. Center it up. You can put this on many different angles, whatever angle you want. I kind of like to go out a little bit, kind of like, it's almost at like a 45. So what I'll do is I'll hold this here flat, and then this down to about a 45. About right there. My piece here lines up in the center of the tube, so that's right at a 45. Now I'll tack that on better. Half. Here to here. Back of our tube. Center that up. That up. Right square. Hit it a crap load with all this crap. So now, once you get to this point, or you can kind of weld it out in steps, like do your frame first, weld everything out, then do your steering, weld everything out, do your bumper, weld everything out, however you want to do it. But once you get to this point, you want to make sure everything's welded out, because then we're going to flip it over and tack our bottom pan on. So you got your pan on. You want to put the edge of your pan maybe round about the center of your front tubing, and then about the center of your sides. You have this hole here that lines up for your seat slide. So you want to, main thing, make sure that's lined up where you can get access to your bolt there. These holes here. So then all you got to do, tack it on.
Oh no!
So this is kind of what you got with their basic design. Pretty much, once you're at this point, everything will be welded out. Everything will be ready. You'll just need to go to Go Power Sports, get all your tires, rims, your chain, your clutch, your engine, all the pedals, everything, bolt them on, and you'll be ready to ride. We're going to show you what a complete cart looks like.